No, scrap it. We're good. We'll get it the next time.
Okay, see you on the next one.
Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, welcome to Two Takes on Film, the only podcast that would survive a zombie apocalypse. My name is Wyatt, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Heather Davenport.
Hello.
Heather and I are two best of friends who love talking about all things movies. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to like and follow wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode.
Wyatt, this episode is so special because today we're recording on March 7th, which is our second birthday. It has been 2 years since we launched this podcast. It has just been a joy. What a journey we have been on over the past couple of years. Thank you so much to all of you who are consistent listeners, who consistently participate, whether it's in the horror tournament that we did at the end of last year or sending in questions or your thoughts on the different movies that we're reviewing. We're so grateful for you and just our little community that we have built here at Two Takes. It has been such a blast these past 2 years, and I'm excited to see what 2023 holds for us.
Yeah, thank you all for your guys' love and support of the podcast. We appreciate it more than you know. Well, we've got a very special episode for you today. Today, we're going to be ranking all 10 Best Picture nominations from this year's Oscars in order of personal preference. And make sure to let us know in the comments what your ranking is of these films. We'd love to hear from you. But without further ado, let's get into our rankings. Starting out at number 10, Heather, what do we have?
Well, there's got to be a number 10, right? It's tough, but someone's got to be there. We have decided to put Women Talking in the number 10 position. This is actually the one and only movie that we haven't really talked about on the podcast before. So I'll just give you a little bit of an overview. It was written and directed by an actress, then turned director, Sarah Polley. And this takes place in 2010. Although if you have seen the previews, if you've seen the movie, it looks like this movie took place in the 1800s. It is very confusing, but takes place in 2010 and is the story of a group of women from this isolated religious community who, within the span of 24 hours, have to decide if they, as a community, are going to stay, if they are going to fight, or if they are going to leave their community. And all of this is kind of brought up in light of abuses that they have been facing from the men of their community. So there's a situation, the men are kind of sent away to court essentially, and it just leaves the women for this short period of time. And for the hour and 44-minute runtime of this film, it is women talking. It's an incredible cast. They are passionate, they are scared, they are protective over their community and even over their men for many of them, in spite of the torture that they have experienced by the hands of them. If you are someone who loves dialogue heavy films, if you love stories of women overcoming for their freedom, fighting for their freedom, this would be a great one for you. Again, it's pretty simple as far as production design and all of that. It literally takes place primarily in the attic of a barn, but some really incredible performances by this predominantly female cast. Women Talking is also nominated for adapted screenplay. That's the only other nomination that it has. If you're interested in watching this prior to the Oscars, it is available to rent on Amazon. Again, this isn't a film that we have reviewed outside of this episode now, but go watch it for yourself on Amazon.
All right, and at number 9, we have Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar is a fantastic theatrical experience. We talked in length how absorbing it is as a movie to be brought into the world of Pandora, even after 13 years being away from it from the first Avatar, proved to be just as engrossing, if not more so than the first one. If anything, it proved that, as we've seen time and time again throughout cinematic history, you can never bet against James Cameron. However, story and characterization are lacking a bit in the film. They're quite thin, mostly to make room for the amazing cinematic experience and visual experience, which brings it down a bit in our rankings, which of course lands it at the number 9 spot. It is nominated for 4 Oscars overall, Best Picture, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, and Production Design. You can listen to our review of it just earlier this year, season 4, episode 1, and you can see it in theaters.
Moving on to the number 8 spot, we have All Quiet on the Western Front. This, of course, is the story of a young German soldier named Paul who has willingly volunteered to fight for Germany in World War I, only come to find out it is not as glorious as it was kind of made out to be. This is an all-out German war film. It is dark, it is intense, it has very little hope or light, and brings just a very sobering view of what it is like for young soldiers and the effects of war on them. This is pretty visually similar to 1917, which we had a few years ago. It feels like a very classic war film. So if that's something that you like and enjoy, it's certainly one to check out. In addition to Best Picture, it is also Germany's submission for
Mhm.
international feature. It was nominated for makeup and hairstyling, original score, sound, visual effects, adapted screenplay, cinematography, and production design. So clearly has gotten a lot of attention, a lot of recognition, but ultimately we feel like we have seen some similar things before. Listen to our thoughts on it, season 3, episode 27. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, you can find it over on Netflix.
And at number 7, we have Elvis. Now, like many Oscar nominated musical biopics before it, Elvis tells the birth to death story of the king, Elvis. But I think it does it in a way that all the others that have come before it that we have personally disliked so much should have been doing it. I think that it asks the questions that these types of films should be asking, and it approaches telling the story of Elvis as more trying to viscerally capture who he was and what his legacy has meant to the world, and less about just kind of listing his Wikipedia page of event to event to event. It's not without its flaws. There's a very distracting Tom Hanks performance in there, but led by an outstanding turn from Austin Butler. It is really engrossing, and I think it's one of the better examples of these musical biopics that the Oscars love so much. It is nominated for 8 Oscars in total. Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role for Austin Butler, Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Sound, Best Cinematography, Costume Design, Best Film Editing, and Production Design. You can listen to our full thoughts of it on Season 3, Episode 17, and you can stream it right now on HBO Max. Yeah.
In the number 6 spot, we have Triangle of Sadness. This, of course, was written and directed by Ruben Östlund and is the story of a model celebrity couple who join other wildly wealthy people on a cruise that ends quite badly. This is a quirky and creative movie and also a contemplative look at the rich and how they engage with the service industry. It is also a story of relationships and how they fare when they're tested. I left this feeling like it was so original and so excited about what it was offering. If you listen to our overs and unders episode, you'll know that this was actually one of my unders from this past year. I thought it had some great performances. Like I said, a really creative script. However, the third portion of the movie does drag on a bit, so not super balanced in the story overall. So a fun watch for sure. It is also nominated for original screenplay as well as directing. You can listen to some expanded thoughts on season 4, episode 3, our overs and unders episode. If you haven't had a chance to watch this, you can stream it now on Hulu.
And coming in at number 5, we have The Fablemans. The Fablemans is Steven Spielberg's semi-autobiographical story of his childhood, dealing with his parents' divorce, growing up, and of course, his experience falling in love with movies and making of movies. This has his usual charm and charisma to it, his impeccable style, and of course, strong directing from one of the greatest living directors. And it's a special movie to be able to see a director of his immense popularity and status as an icon of the industry, as a leader and game changer of the industry, reflect upon his own experiences and get to tell his own story. And it's both honest and intimate in a way that you don't usually get to see from someone of his status, and also a bit flamboyant and a little Hollywoodized in a way that you could only expect from someone who has helped create the industry that we now know as Hollywood. It's also bolstered by 2 really wonderful performances, and Michelle Williams and Paul Dano as Spielberg's parents in the film. It is nominated for 7 Oscars: Best Picture, Director for Spielberg, Original Score for John Williams, Actress in a Leading Role for Michelle Williams, Actor in a Supporting Role for Judd Hirsch, Original Screenplay, and Production Design. You can listen to our full thoughts, Season 3, Episode 31, or rent it video on demand right now.
In our number 4 spot, we have Top Gun Maverick. This, of course, is directed by Joseph Kosinski and was easily one of our and America's favorite films of the year. Top Gun Maverick flies onto your screen decades after Top Gun was released. 30 years later, we once again meet up with Maverick as he is brought in to train a group of new pilots for a top secret mission. I have left every viewing of this movie with a smile on my face and desire in my heart to learn how to fly a plane. Tom Cruise just feels like this is such a sweet spot for him. It feels like there's such a love and familiarity for this character of Maverick, but also just getting to see Tom Cruise kind of in his element as far as flying and being able to bring his expertise to this production is really great. Speaking of flying, this movie is filled with some incredible flying and action sequences and just a really impressive amount of technicality that's on display in this film. It is not, however, without a decent dose of nostalgia and some cheesiness at times, which honestly, in the grand scheme of things, was okay with me. This is also nominated for a few other Oscars. We have film editing, original song, best sound, visual effects, and adapted screenplay. You can hear more of our thoughts on season 3, episode 14, and honestly, probably a number of episodes beyond that as well. If you haven't seen this yet, it is available to stream on Paramount Plus.
I think we had a count going for a little bit of how many episodes after our initial review did we continue to bring up Top Gun Maverick. And
It was
I don't remember the
significant.
number, but it was a significant
Yeah,
number.
especially those summer episodes. It just felt like any opportunity we had to push people to go see it, we would. So here's another one. Go watch it.
Coming down to the top 3. At number 3, we have Tar. This movie follows Lydia Tarr, one of the world's most renowned composer-conductors, as forces both within and out of her control threaten her hard-earned status. Now, this movie is one of the richest character studies that I've seen in a long, long time. It is anchored by an absolutely mesmerizing performance by Cate Blanchett. Her performance is so convincing that people, when the movie came out, thought that this was a true story based off a real person because she does such a good job with the material. It is long, it is dense and heavy. It is just as testing and pretentious as I think its main character would want it to be, but it more than earns that pretension and that seriousness that it asks from you with masterful, masterful direction from Todd Field. This is one of the best directed films I've seen in a long time. He just weaves this story, both allegorical and literal, so well. It has so much to say and even more that it wants to talk about and it wants us to talk about. It's one that is stuck with me in my mind and my conversations with others for a long time, and I think it will continue to do so for a long time. It is nominated for 6 total Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director for Todd Field, Actress in a Leading Role for Cate Blanchett, Original Screenplay, Cinematography, and Editing. If you want to hear our full thoughts on it, you can hear them on Season 3, Episode 28. You can also stream it right now on Peacock.
Well, coming in at spot number 2, runner up, we have The Banshees of Inisherin. This is written and directed by Martin McDonagh and is the story of 2 lifelong friends who find themselves at a bit of an impasse when one of the friends decide to end their friendship. This leads to some pretty alarming consequences for both of these men, and this is just another incredible win from McDonagh. The chemistry between Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson are 2 main characters, and the 2 friends in this relationship only continues to grow over the years and over the course of their friendship and working relationship, largely in part to Martin McDonagh and his ability to bring them together. They genuinely feel like 2 friends who are really battling it out, but doing so against a very quiet Irish backdrop. The characters that we meet in this movie are simple, yet also incredibly complex. The movie is quite quiet, but also just really pulls you in to think and is a character and relationship leadership study, but also just really shows you the complexity of being humans. Some really, really incredible performances. Probably would be on the slower side for some people, and I could imagine that that might be difficult for some people to connect with. But if you are able to hang in there with it, I think it is a really rich offering. It is nominated for a number of different additional Oscars, including actress in a supporting role for Carrie Condon, actor in a leading role for Colin Farrell, actor in a supporting role for Barry Keoghan, actor in a supporting role for Brendan Gleeson, additionally, original score, director, and original screenplay and editing. There are so many.
So many.
So many, well deserved, especially in all of those acting categories. If you would like to listen to more of our thoughts on the Banshees of Inisherin, you can find that at season 3, episode 28. If you have not had a chance to see this yet, you can stream it on HBO Max.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at number 1, we have Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie follows a middle-aged Chinese woman who is swept into an insane multiversal adventure where she is tasked with saving the universe by confronting all the other possible lives she could have lived. This movie was really the little movie that could of the year. Came out early in the year, was from a smaller budget than a lot of other big movies like Top Gun Maverick or action blockbusters, but just caught the hearts and minds and souls of everyone in the world by storm and really swept them off their feet. It is a wild ride. It is very unique in its humor and presentation, but that's what makes it so endearing and so special. It's what makes the performances in it able to shine and feel authentic despite the fact that they are surrounded by so much craziness and otherworldliness, other universaliness. It is a wonderful ride to go on. It'll have you laughing out loud. It'll have you crying out loud. It'll have you cheering out loud. There are so many impressive feats going on in this movie, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. The direction from Daniels is singular and unique. It's what we've come to expect from them, but it seems like a fully realized version of everything they've done before, bringing their style to the fullest potential. From that to the production design and the editing, specifically the fight choreography, the pure creativity for this kung fu family drama action multiversal movie. It's all fantastic. It's all on display, and it is culminated in 11 Oscar nominations. Best Picture, Best Director for Daniels, Original Screenplay, Original Score from Sun Lux, Original Song by Sun Lux, and I don't think many people know this, but performed vocally by David Byrne, lead singer of Talking Heads, and Mitski of Mitski fame. Actress in a leading role for Michelle Yeoh, actor in a supporting role for Ke Huy Quan, actress in a supporting role for Stephanie Hsu, actress in a supporting role for Jamie Lee Curtis, costume design, and editing. That is 11 Oscar
Ooh.
nominations, all very much deserved. It is one of our favorite films of the year, and it's a film that when approaching this list, Heather and I didn't even have to think about really. It was just an immediate number 1 pick. If you haven't seen it yet, I really encourage you to see it. It's a movie that I think everyone needs to see. You can listen to our full thoughts back in season 3, episode 9. You can stream it right now on Showtime as well. All right, everyone. Well, there you have it. Those are the 10 movies nominated for Best Picture this year, ranked by yours truly. We hope you enjoyed the list. Again, we'd love to hear what your list looks like. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? We want to know leading into the Oscars this Sunday. We'll see if the Academy agrees or not. With all these movies, we told you where you could listen to our thoughts on them. We told you where you could stream them, but more likely than not, you could probably find a local theater that's playing these, given that the Oscars are coming up. I'd encourage all of you guys to go out to your theaters, watch these movies if you can, celebrate the fun weekend that is the Oscars by watching what the Academy deems some of the best movies of the year. If you're listening to this before the Oscars, make sure to tune in Sunday morning to hear our predictions. If you want to take part in our voting ballot and give us your predictions yourself, you can find the link to that voting ballot in our bio on Instagram and submit it that way. And of course, the Oscars are this Sunday, March 12th at 5 o'clock on ABC. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Do you want me
Hey
to
there,
be? Oh,
What the are you doing?
why would you just start going with no warning? Chaotic.
I'm sorry. Let me just inform the whole set and crew we have of my decision to start
Oh,
rolling.